Right now, while you're watching this, your cat is doing something you have never seen. Not because it happens rarely, but because it happens every single night. Somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, when you're sleeping deepest and least capable of noticing anything. And if you ever stayed awake instead of going to bed, just sat in the dark and watched, you would see something that would permanently change your understanding of who is actually living with you in this home. Most people think about it like this. At night, the cat is either sleeping or causing trouble, knocking something off a shelf, sprinting down the hallway, sitting on your chest and staring into your face with the expression of a creature that has neither a conscience nor a schedule. All of this gets written off as a quirk, as background noise, as something you just accept when you decide to live with a cat. But here's what nobody says out loud in what has been confirmed by decades of research in zoopsychology and behavioral biology. Every single one of those actions has a reason, a specific one, evolutionarily hardwired, and it has nothing to do with mischief. What your cat does between 2 and 4 in the morning is a system, and you are its central element. You're on Ian Pets, and today we're going into the darkest part of the day alongside your cat. I'm going to show you exactly what she does when she thinks you're not watching, why she stands at the bedroom door at 3 in the morning and stares into the dark hallway, what happens when she places her paw on your hand in the middle of the night and then walks away, and at the end, something researchers documented less than 20 years ago that completely overturned our understanding of who is actually protecting whom in this house. Stay until the end, because the last part is not what you're expecting. Let's start with what happens in the first minutes after you fall asleep. You close your eyes. Your breathing evens out. Your muscles go slack. And right around that moment, not an hour later, not in the morning, but right now, something inside your cat shifts. Researchers at the University of Messina in Italy studied how the presence of a human owner affects a cat's daily activity patterns. What they found was this: cats don't simply react to a person's schedule. They synchronize with it. Your cat knows when you're asleep, not because she's watching a clock, but because your body tells her, in a language she understands better than you understand any human language. The rhythm of your breathing, the temperature of your skin, the barely perceptible changes in the sounds a person makes as they drift off. All of that is information, and she is reading it. And this is where something begins that most cat owners have absolutely no idea about. Because the moment you stop watching her, she starts watching you. Let's talk about what your cat is actually capable of perceiving at night. Because without this, nothing else that follows will make sense. You look into the dark hallway at 3 in the morning, and you see darkness, just darkness. Maybe the corner of a wall, maybe the silhouette of a chair. If a streetlight flickers somewhere outside, your cat looks into that same hallway and sees something completely different. A cat's retina contains 6 to 8 times more rod cells than yours. Rods are the photoreceptors that function in low light conditions. This is not a metaphor or an exaggeration. A cat can functionally see at light levels where you are blind. That hallway that looks like an impenetrable black rectangle to you, to her, it's a space with clear outlines. But that's only the beginning. Behind the cat's retina is a layer of cells that you don't have. It's called the tapetum lucidum, literally, the bright carpet. It's a mirror-like reflector. It bounces light back through the photoreceptors, giving them a second chance to catch it. This is exactly why a cat's eyes glow in the dark when a flashlight hits them. It's not mystical. It's an engineering solution that effectively doubles the eye's light sensitivity. This layer is what makes a cat's night vision not just better than yours, but fundamentally different in nature. But vision is not everything, not even close. Your cat's whiskers are not decorative. They are not simply a tactile organ. At the base of each vibrissa is a nerve ending sensitive to changes in air temperature, a temperature gradient of a fraction of a degree. The movement of warm air from a living body, a person, a mouse, another creature. Research published through the Doctor Guide online platform on feline biology describes it this way. A cat's whiskers function as thermal sensors capable of mapping the heat signature of a space in total darkness. While you see a black hallway, she senses whether something warm is there, and exactly where. Now add hearing to that picture. Cats can hear frequencies up to 79 kilohertz. For comparison, the upper limit of human hearing is roughly 20 kilohertz. This means that while you're sleeping in what feels like silence, your cat is hearing things you are physically incapable of hearing. Sounds through the wall, movement on the staircase, something in the ventilation shaft, a mouse under the floorboards, if one happens to be there. Her outer ear can rotate independently up to 180 degrees, pinpointing the source of a sound to within a few centimeters. And then there is one more ability that almost never gets mentioned. Cats can see ultraviolet light, not the way specialized insects do, but enough to perceive ultraviolet patterns that are invisible to the human eye. A study published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B documented that the lens of a cat's eye transmits ultraviolet light in a range that is blocked for us. This means that at night, your cat is literally perceiving your home in a spectrum you have no access to. Put all of that together, and you have a creature that at 2 in the morning is seeing, hearing, and sensing your apartment at a level you cannot even begin to imagine. She is not stumbling through the darkness. She is moving through a space she knows better than you do. And now we're going to talk about what exactly she does with that, because what happens next is not chaos, it's a rout. After you fall asleep, most cats do not lie down beside you and drift off immediately. They get up and they move. If you placed a night vision camera in your apartment and watched the footage in the morning, you would see something unexpected. Your cat is moving through the space. Not randomly, not searching for food, not out of boredom. She is circling the perimeter, room by room, window by window, door by door. This is documented behavior that researchers in feline ethology describe with a single word: patrol. This is not a metaphor. This is literally what is happening. Cats are territorial animals with a deeply embedded instinct to guard their space. In the wild, territory means survival, food sources, safe routes, a den. A domestic cat lives in an apartment, but the instinct never went away. Her territory is your home, and she is protecting it every night while you sleep. She checks the entry points, the front door. Is there a change in scent from outside? The ventilation grate. Where is the airflow coming from? The window. What is moving behind the glass? None of this is anxiety. None of it is neurosis. It is work, carried out with the same regularity with which you set your alarm. And at a certain point in that route, she comes back to you. Here is what happens when your cat places her paw on your hand in the middle of the night and immediately takes it away. Most people read this as an accident or as an attempt to wake them up. But animal behaviorists describe it differently. The platform Petful, which specializes in research on feline protective behavior, calls this a check-in. The cat periodically returns to her sleeping owner to confirm, "You're breathing, you're warm, you're alive, everything is fine." This is not sentiment. It is part of a protection protocol. But the most unexpected thing is not the patrol and not the check-in. The most unexpected thing is what happens when the patrol ends and the cat finally chooses a position to sleep in, because that position is not random. And once you understand the logic behind it, you will never look at a cat sleeping near you quite the same way again. Research compiled on the PetsCare platform in its section on feline nighttime behavior documents this. Many cats instinctively choose a sleeping position that allows them to see both the bedroom door and their owner at the same time. This is not comfort seeking, it's tactics. The cat places herself between you and the entrance to the space. In ethology, this is called defensive positioning. She is literally putting herself between you and a potential threat. Think about it for a second. Where does your cat usually sleep? At your feet, blocking access to the bed? On the edge of the mattress, facing the door? Or maybe near your head, where she has a view of the entire room? Probably not just wherever happens to be comfortable. And here is where things become genuinely serious. Because up until now, we've been talking about instincts, but there are documented cases where those instincts crossed the line between behavior and saving a life. And they happened in exactly this window, between 2 and 4 in the morning. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now, because next, we're talking about what a cat actually does when she detects a real threat, and about what is happening inside her brain while she sleeps beside you. This is not what you're expecting to hear. A cat named Pinkers did not wake her owner up because she was hungry. She woke her up because there was carbon monoxide poisoning in the apartment. Her owner had lost consciousness. Pinkers licked her face, persistently, continuously, until she came around. This is a documented case described on the Petful platform in their section on feline protective behavior. Another cat, named Boy Kitty, began scratching at the balcony door in the middle of the night. His owner went to check and found a stranger standing on the balcony. She had time to call the police. These cases are not isolated, and they are not coincidences. Cats possess sensory capabilities that allow them to detect things you cannot. A change in air composition, an unfamiliar scent, movement that doesn't fit the familiar pattern of the night. Their hearing picks up frequencies beyond your physical range. The thermal sensors in their whiskers register heat anomalies. And when all of that adds up to an alarm signal, they act. Researchers at BasePaws, who study feline genetics and behavior, describe it this way. Cats are territorial predators with an instinct to protect the members of their pride. In the wild, guarding sleeping members of the group is an evolutionary advantage. In an apartment, that same instinct is directed at you. You are her pride. And while you sleep, she is standing watch. Think about that for a moment. You have probably never thought of your cat as a creature that protects you. Most likely, you thought the opposite, that you feed her, take her to the vet, keep her safe, that the responsibility runs in one direction. That is true, but it is also true that at 2 in the morning, while you sleep, the arrangement looks different. She is not helpless. She is on duty. But here's what matters. She doesn't do this because she's obligated to. She does it because she's attached. And that attachment is not just behavior. It is literally built into the architecture of her sleep. Because what happens when the cat finally lies down beside you and closes her eyes? That is its own story. A story about what her brain sees in the dark, and about why she chooses you again and again as the place where she falls asleep. When your cat sleeps on your chest, she is listening to your heartbeat. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is physiology. Research published in Mayo Clinic Proceedings and compiled by the Catopia documented this. Many cats prefer to sleep specifically on their owner's chest, and specifically because of the rhythmic sounds, the heartbeat, and the breathing. For an adult cat, this is the same thing that a mother's pulse is for a newborn kitten, a source of safety, an anchor, The Heidenberger study from 1997, which is still cited in zoopsychology literature today, found that in 52% of cases, a cat's preferred sleeping spot is her owner's bed. And once a cat has chosen that spot, she almost never changes it. This is not habit in the ordinary sense. It is a declaration. In the language of feline ethology, it means one thing. You are part of her territory, not as something she possesses, as part of her family. Now let's talk about what is happening inside her head when she finally falls asleep, because this is the most unexpected thing we'll cover today. In the 1960s, neurobiologist Michel Jouvet at the University of Lyon conducted experiments with cats that became some of the most cited in the history of sleep research. Jouvet temporarily disabled the muscle paralysis mechanism that normally operates during REM sleep. What he saw initially looked like an error in the experiment. The cats began to move, to stalk, to leap, to attack invisible prey. They were hunting, with their eyes closed, in deep sleep, completely unresponsive to anything around them. They were living inside their dreams as vividly as they live when awake. This was the first direct neurobiological answer to a question people had been asking for centuries. Do cats dream? Yes. And they dream with the same intensity with which they hunt. Electroencephalographic research compiled on the Mattress Miracle platform shows during REM sleep, a cat's brain generates what are called pontogeniculo-occipital waves. These are electrical signals traveling from the brainstem to the visual cortex. They are considered the biological signature of dream imagery formation. The same waves have been identified in humans, primates, and other mammals. We are not simply guessing that cats dream. We can see it in the electrical activity of their brains. But here is what is most striking of all. A cat sleeps between 12 and 16 hours a day. She spends roughly 15% of that time in REM sleep, slightly less than humans in percentage terms. But in absolute numbers, this means your cat spends more total time dreaming than any human being alive. What does she see in those dreams? Researchers at Scientific American, drawing on the work of Deirdre Barrett of Harvard, one of the world's leading dream researchers, put it this way: it is a safer assumption for cats than for any other animal. Cats dream about hunting, about movement, about space, about familiar scents and sounds, and probably about you. Because this is exactly what neuroscientists studying how the brain processes information during sleep have found. During sleep, the brain replays the events of the day, reorganizes them, consolidates them into memory. This holds for humans, it holds for the rats studied at MIT, and it holds for cats. Everything she experienced beside you during the day, your interactions, your voice, your scent, all of that is being replayed in the darkness by her brain. While you sleep, she is in some sense reliving the time the two of you spent together. But her sleep is structured differently from yours, and that difference matters. A cat never sleeps as deeply as you do. Even in REM, even at the deepest point of sleep, her brain maintains readiness to wake. The slightest atypical sound, a change in scent, a shift in your breathing. Any of these can bring her to full alertness instantly. No transition period, no give me a minute. Research from SUNY Canton, reported by A to Z Animals, documented this. A cat's nighttime activity never drops to zero. Even in the quietest hours, between 2 and 4 in the morning, regular microbursts of movement are recorded. Check-ins, position adjustments, brief periods of wakefulness that most owners never notice because they are asleep. Your cat is not sleeping through the night. She is on watch, with breaks for dreams, in which she is probably hunting or seeing you. This is what is happening in your home between 2 and 4 in the morning. The cat you think of as a lazy household pet has, by this point, already walked the entire perimeter of the apartment, checked every entry point, confirmed that the air smells right, that nothing new is visible through the windows, that you are breathing steadily and your body temperature is normal. She has returned to you several times, perhaps lay beside you briefly, perhaps touched you with her paw, and now she is dozing again, in a position that lets her see the door. You thought you were the one protecting her. You feed her, take her to the vet, buy her toys. That is true, but at night, while you are defenseless, while you cannot see what she sees or hear what she hears, she is paying you back in kind. And this has been happening every night for years. You just didn't know.